So, who created the image of the beast and his number, the number of his name? Well, first, let's go back again and look at what the number of his name is. I'll get the screen share going here. All right. And we'll start with the image of the beast here. And I know people say, oh, that's Jesus. That's not the image. Yes, it is. This is counterfeit. He looks like a European and not like a Jew. Now, it's kind of funny. Uh, One thing I wanted to casually mention off the cuff, President Donald Trump mentioned how Jews are short guys who know how to handle money. He did say that. I don't know if I should just go and look for it and prove it to you or not, but you can Google it for yourself. And mostly that is true. Mostly they are short, although there are some tall ones among them. But compared to Europeans, they're short and a little bit more stocky. Europeans tend to be a little bit more tall and thinner. Average. Um. Anyway, so let's look at this here. Okay. So on Quora, people are asking a question. The question is Jesus a Spanish name? Okay. So I saw three answers, and this one is a good one. It's from Jose Pineda. He says, "My mother tongue for the good and the bad, and I love it." His answer is no, but it could have been misspelling of Jesus in 16th century Spanish. Now, his answer here is not the same as his explanation. So let's look at his explanation. He says, you see, in the 15th century, Castilian speakers pronounced the J letter with the sound it still has in French or Portuguese, and the X letter, most of the time, with an SH sound, as it still is done in Portuguese and Catalan. More or less like English, S in pleasure, except with a bit more vibration of the vocal cords. Now, this is very important right here, folks. At the end of the 15th century, a trend started where the J sound got softened and became a sh sound. So people would make a lot of spelling mistakes as it wasn't evident from the pronunciations whether to write a word with a J or an X. So some words that had always been written with an X, like relax, which is clock, okay, or relash. Exercito or army started getting written sometimes with a J, and of course the inverse also happened. So what happened was, folks, is what he's saying here essentially is the J and the X eventually became the same sound. You see, because of nuances in sound changes in consonants, you see. So finally, the Royal Academy intervened to put order into the mess and decree that all those words were to be written from then on with a J, irrespective of their original spelling. Okay. All right. So I'll stop right here. And that is how the X in Jesus got changed to a J, Jesus or Jesus or Jesus. Okay, anyway, my point is it was originally up until the end of the 15th century, which would be the 1400s. In the end of the 1400s, it was changed, but not before then. So before the end of the 1400s, it was with an X. Xesus. Okay. Which brings us, to, let's see, to Alexander the Sixth. Okay. Alexander the Sixth, so-called Pope Alexander the Sixth, born Rodrigo de Borgia, Valencian, Roderick, I can't pronounce, I'm sorry, folks. But he was born in Spain. And he was, let's see here, January 1431 to August 1503. Now, what century? Now, I already done for, I think it was a end of the 15th century, he said, which would be the 1400s. Okay. He was so-called Pope from 11th of August, 1492 until his death. But here's the point. Oh, looky here. See that? Look, look, look. Look, folks. This is how his name was spelled. With an X instead of a J. So in his day, hold on. I'm just trying to get it all together here. Yes. When he was born in 1431, it was not a J, it was an X. You see. How do you like that? Now, what is so interesting about this guy, who they misspell his name today? Okay. Here's the deal. Let's have a look at his son, this guy. Let's see if I should get a picture up. See if I can get a picture up. Yes, this guy. Well, am I going to get a full-blown picture? I guess not. Okay. So basically what happened was Alexander the Sixth commissioned Leonardo da Vinci to turn this Jesus, in other words, how do I put this? Make an image, a painting of Jesus, as they say, out of his own son, who was Romanish, of originally called Tarshish, which are of the children of Japheth or Japheth. They were, this guy is not Semitic. Neither is the picture of this guy. This is not Semitic. This is not what a way a Semitic man would look like. Tall, thin, long hair. That's not a Semitic man at all. All right. So, I believe he was born in Valencia, or this Borgia fella, or Borgia. Okay. So, on Inside Edition, now I know this is a tabloidish magazine, but you know they try to get some things right here, and you have to look real hard to find these things, folks. And So let me show you something. Now they cannot for the life of them say the name correctly. They have to use Jesus Christ rather than Yehoshua Messiah because they cannot get past the fact that the Messiah is Hebrew. He still is Hebrew. Okay. So they say he has originally been portrayed as a light-skinned man with wavy hair down to his shoulders with a full beard and mustache. Like the Romans in those days, in the days of Alexander the Sixth used to do. Well, even the Roman Caesars before that did not wear their hair long. Like this long hair business was something in the 15th century. That was a 15th century thing, and some others later too. Okay, so the look has been prominently featured in churches around the world and featured in classic movies like King of Kings, The Passion of Christ, as hit TV shows like the Bible. Although the image look at here. They're even using the word image. Can be traced back to the 3rd century. Tom Bowdoin, a professor of religion at Fordham University, explained that the depiction is inaccurate. This Jesus was modeled as a combination of a Greek god and a philosopher, Bowdoin explained in an interview with Inside Edition. He said that many historians believe that the fair-skinned Jesus was actually inspired by the heir to the Borgia clan in Italy in the 15th century, Caesar Borgia. The Italian cardinal was famed for his handsome features, and his father, Alexander VI, commissioned Leonardo da Vinci to paint a portrait of Jesus modeled after his sons. But citing historian Joan Taylor in her latest book, What Did Jesus Look Like? Bowdoin speculated the real Jesus, or he should say Yehoshua, probably looked much different. Now, I would say he's partly correct here and partly not correct. And here's why. If he were to go to the Middle East, see, he's assuming that Middle Easterners are all darker skinned. Well, even I have Middle Eastern darker skin color. But some Middle Easterns don't have darker skin. Okay. So he said historians believe Jesus, or Yehoshua is what he should say, was much darker skinned and stood only at 5 feet tall. Now, I agree with this right here. I think this is accurate, or maybe somewhere around 5 feet, maybe 5'2" or 5'4". Okay. And he would also have worn his beard and hair short. Well, that is not exactly correct either, because they typically did not cut um, their beard, or the edges of their beard. Okay. But their hair would be short. That would be correct. Instead of a long robe, likely wore a knee length tunic with a short mantle or shawl, and wore leather sandals. Okay. He would have presented very typically, she argues, as a Jewish man of this day, which is quite different than how this Jesus is often imagined in Christian churches today. He says, Bowdoin explained, think about Jewish people in Iraq today and how this we should imagine. Okay, so let me stop right here. I'll give you an example of, let's see here. Um, I'll give you an example of somebody that I known for a while, an Iraqi fellow. Yes, I know personally an Iraqi fellow. He has lighter skin than I do, but his lightness of his skin is different than the lightness of what you would find among what they call white people today. It was different. It would be kind of like the white of my mother, I would say. Of course, that doesn't help anybody much because I have not shown you any pictures of my mother and I don't intend to. Um, Almost like I wouldn't say how do I put this? It's very difficult. Anyway, but he was about 5 foot to 5'2", or he is. And his name, Yohanan, is strange because it is unusual for an Iraqi to have a name like Yohanan. So I asked him one day, I said, Yohanan, what nationality are you? I know you're from Iraq. What nationality are you? He says, I am Aramaic. Oh, so you're Syrian, Aramaic. Okay, okay. Got it. Makes all the sense in the world. And of course, the Aramaeans are the closest in blood to the Israelis, to the Jews. Made all the sense in the world to me. Okay. And once again, typical Jewish looking fellow, although he was not Jewish. So let me go back to screen share here and show you a few more things. It's I don't need this any longer. Okay. Now, Revelation 13. Let's go to Strong's Concordance once again. It's too bad that, well, I don't know if I had this in Spanish, if it would make any difference or not. All right. We'll get down here and the number of the beast. Okay. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. It is the number of a man. Okay. And his number is, what is it? Chi G stigma. Chi G stigma. Or Ki G stigma. I cannot pronounce Greek, folks. Okay. But we've all determined, we've all seen what that converts to. Okay. It's right here. It's this. It's this. XES is what we would see. XES. Well, XESUS is the name of the beast in the 1400s. And it is even still used today in Portugal and parts of Spain. The J and the X in Latin is essentially the same letter we just learned from somebody who knows. On this particular response here, where it says, at the end of the 15th century, a trend started. So before the 1500s, the J was actually an X. In the days of Caesar Borgia, in the days of his father, Alexander VI, when it was commissioned, when he commissioned Leonardo da Vinci to make the image of the beast, essentially. And his name was Xesus, as we see here. So, since the X and the J are interchangeable, the J is actually an S. The number of his name is right here. Inescapable and right there in Codex Vaticanus. You see, at the Vatican. Inescapable, folks. The man the Europeans worship is the beast. The image here, this is his image, the image of the beast. You see, folks, and the number of his name. Okay? And the mark is the cross. And the cross can be an X or a cross. It's interchangeable, just like the J and the X is. All right? Now, just remember, folks, what is written, I believe it's in Revelation 14. Let me show you what happens to the folks who worship that graven image, that painted image, put the mark on their forehead on Ash Wednesday or any other time of the year, quite frankly. So where is it? Where did I lose my? There we go. Verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in the forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Jehovah, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever, and they will have no rest day nor night. That's during the great tribulation upon the Gentiles, folks, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name. This is what the saints, the Kodesh, the Jews are patiently waiting for. That's vengeance. And also those who keep the commandments and the faith of Yehoshua, not Jesus or Jesus. Okay. So you see, even the translators committed this vile, blasphemous crime of replacing the name of Yehoshua with Jesus. And there you have it. I hope I have explained this better than I used to. I'm trying to get better at this. Please, folks, don't worship the image of the beast on Sunday. Don't do that. Don't be putting that mark of the beast on your forehead. Don't be making it with your hand. Don't be making it across your chest with your hand, with your right hand. Don't do it. You call upon the name of Jehovah, our Father in heaven, in the name of Yehoshua. I think that's all I have today.